Good morning, everyone. It's Kristin at Leftovercakechat. Happy Sunday. I'm feeling a little bit better today, not 100%, but I'm here to talk seating charts. How fun. I promised you to be something a little bit more exciting this week. What's more exciting than seating charts? So, to start things off, I will toast to you with my Rev Clean Energy drink. No champagne while you're not feeling well. Doesn't really help to drink alcohol when you're not feeling well. Cheers to that. And it's always helpful to eat something that's comforting when you're not feeling well. So I'm actually eating an orange cinnamon roll. It's kind of like cake. Pretty good. Certainly makes you feel better. So this question actually came in from Jessie in Maine this week. She is struggling with seating charts and to assign or not to assign seating. And this is actually a really big thing that people struggle with. So you have your guest list, and once you have in all of your RSVPs, typically we would suggest that you categorize by family, friends, work, colleagues, school, college, university groups, friends from childhood, and then extended family. So, and then neighbors as well. She has a neighbors category, so I want to make sure I'm answering her questions. First of all, I will tell you that I think it's extremely important to do a sweetheart table versus a head table, and there are a few reasons. You don't get to see each other or talk to each other the entire day of the wedding until pretty much you sit down to try to have a bite to eat and take a deep breath. You're on the go from the second you start that day with hair and makeup and getting ready, and typically brides and grooms don't see each other, or grooms and grooms, or brides and brides don't see each other. And this is just a chance to have a moment together before it all ends and you actually realize it's midnight and you've been an entire day without actually having a conversation. So I highly suggest a sweetheart table, which is just a table for two. It eliminates also the fact that when you have a bridal party, or you have even a large bridal party or a small bridal party, those people are bringing a spouse typically, or a partner or a significant other. They don't want to be separated from them while they're eating dinner and sitting down for hours. So you don't really want to have a singles table or seat your bridal party with you and not be able to have them sit with who they came with. It's just awkward. It's not fun. Put yourself in their shoes. And have you ever wanted to sit by yourself with strangers at dinner? Chances are they don't know each other. And I think especially now, and you know, this isn't so much happening right now because weddings aren't happening, but this particular wedding is in 2021, we hope, and this is a real thing. So I just want to make sure that I'm addressing that. Singles tables are not fun. I've been at them. Not fun. For the most part, just seat people with people that they know, whether it's someone from work or someone in your family. Don't isolate them. Don't call them out. It's not fun. The other thing is when you're seating parents. So seating your parents is challenging in that you want them to be close to you or closer to your head table for picture purposes, for toast, for everything, just the fact that they want to be close to you. A lot of times you have grandparents that will be sitting with your parents, but your parents' closest friends are also coming. So again, you want to try to go through and seat people accordingly. I'm going to show you some cheat sheets, and this is really simple to do. Paper plates, Post-it notes, where's my Sharpie? And a Sharpie. All different color Post-it notes, so you can actually categorize, and there's more colors than this, but these happens to be what I was grabbing this morning. Literally, you can write everyone's name, take your spreadsheet, which again, I highly suggest you use an Excel spreadsheet for this, or there are seating chart templates that we actually use, but everybody for the most part has Excel on their laptop. Write out their names and you can actually keep moving them, which is why the sticky notes are so fun. You can keep moving mom and dad and Nana and move them to however you want if you're actually assigning seats or tables. And then in the middle of your beautiful little paper plate, write the table number, write at the end how many people are at that table. And then if you are doing any type of meal selection, so if you're doing a choice on your RSVP card of beef, chicken, fish, vegetarian, you can actually write those selections on there as well. And you take these and you give them to your wedding planner or you give them to your catering coordinator, and they know how many people are at each table. They also know who is a VIP table. So if it is your parents' table, you want to write VIP on it. And they know how many people are eating what at that table. It doesn't stop there with your meal choices. You do need to actually somehow designate on your seating cards, if you are doing a meal choice, you almost have to do assigned seating, because the servers are going to come to that table and you really kind of want presidential service where everyone's food is actually placed at once. So they need to know what meal selection is actually going to each person. So you can do these with little cute graphics. You can do them with actually a B or an F or a V. There's all kinds of options that we can help you with for that. But it's really important that they know where to place the food correctly. The last thing you want to do is put down a shrimp dish in front of someone that has a seafood allergy. That's not fun for anyone involved. So again, easy. Paper plates, Post-it notes, Sharpies, and your list. And have fun with it. Invite your parents over. Invite your bridesmaids over to help you. I highly suggest using a bold Sharpie to write so it doesn't fade. Don't do these until the last minute, because you're going to have people that are going to RSVP at the last minute, as annoying as that is, but it happens. And you are going to not know your head count probably until about, you hope 30 days out. I'm going to tell you realistically, it's probably going to be 2 weeks. But it's a fun thing to do. Have wine. So more tips. I would actually, unless again you're doing food choices, I would assign tables and not seats. Let people sit where they want to sit at the table. If you are grouping them together, like I've suggested, work, family, just assign the table and not an actual seat, unless you have family dynamics, which most of us have in our lives, probably all of us. You don't want to, sit someone next to, you probably want to avoid the table altogether, but if you can't, don't sit someone next to someone they probably don't want to sit next to. Again, not fun. Clearly state your table information and direction. And I say do this at the start of cocktail hour as people are actually coming in. It'll give them a chance to look it over, scope out where they're seating, who they're seating with. You want to make sure again that there's either some type of table map or someone to direct them to the table. If you are doing table names or table numbers, just make those larger and clearer. If they're super small, people walk around the reception room trying to find what table they're at. So just try to give them some type of seating map, some type of really clear direction as to where they're seating. A lot of people think that calligraphy is really elegant, and it certainly is, but don't make it to the point where people don't know if it's a table 7 or table 4. Really make it clear. I talked to you about food choices. Another thing that is a pet peeve for me, since we're talking about seating, is centerpieces that block you from actually having a conversation with someone across the table from you. So you want to make sure, go in, actually do a walkthrough with your florist, with your caterer, and bring a sample of height. It doesn't have to be the exact flower, but actually bring a sample piece with you. Sit in the chair, sit at the table, and see what that height is and see if you could actually have a conversation with someone. You have to factor in when you're actually sitting at a table and you add in music and you add in X amount of people, X amount of conversations, and servers running around, bartenders running around. There is going to be that noise element. So when people are trying to have a conversation across the table from each other, you just want to make sure they can actually maybe try to read lips if they need to. I'm really good at that. The other thing I want to make sure that we talk about, again, Jesse, this is going back to your question. You have a couple of grandparents that are going to be coming in wheelchairs. I would definitely just make sure you scope out the room, so your venue. I know your venue is indoors. You want to make sure that, for me, I would suggest placing them obviously closer to exits, just for safety purposes, God forbid, but also if they do need to use the restroom, you're going to want to make sure that it's just easy in and out access for them. I would also make sure that they have visibility to the dance floor. So if they are in the wheelchair, I'm not sure, we didn't discuss this in the questioning, if they can get up and down in the wheelchair, or if it's just in and out in the wheelchair that they're coming, but you're going to want to make sure that they can see what's going on. If they're comfortable sitting at their table, they still want to see the dance floor. They still want to see you doing your first dance and things like that. So check out your venue, ask your venue coordinator where those best places are for placement. And you also have a couple baby carriages coming. I would say the same thing. I would usually put probably, I think moms to be, dads to be would appreciate if there's a place to maybe put the carriage behind them if they want to hold the baby. If they're too young, obviously, to sit in some type of high chair, then that way the baby carriage is behind them. It usually houses a lot of things that they're carrying with them. Luggage is important. So again, probably would have their back to a wall where it's a clear path where they could probably set the carriage aside. Let's see, what else? Older people. This is another thing when it comes to seating. The older people really don't like the loud music. So try not to place them actually next to the speakers or even the dance floor for your actual music. It's really hard for them to hear as it is a lot of times. And when you add loud music into the room already has music, but you certainly don't want someone with speakers blaring in their ears. So again, map out the room, look at where the most comfortable places are for people that are older, for people that have children. Again, you've got someone coming in a baby carriage. They might be able to get that baby to sleep. Probably not a good idea to place them next to the speakers. Let's see what else. Table shapes. So that's a big thing nowadays. You actually have multiple choices, whether you have rounds, whether you have farm tables, square tables, high top cocktail tables. If you're doing a mix, a lot of people are doing a mix of seating these days and doing different types of seating for social distancing. So again, look at the type of seating that you're looking at. It's going to dictate how many people sit at that table. So typically a 72-inch round will seat 10 to 12. I would not put any more than 12. We have had to cram some people in before. If you've got kids that are attending and their bodies are a little bit tinier, you can probably fit a little bit more, but really 12 is comfortable. You have to think about the actual placement of charger plates if you're using them, actual place settings with silverware and glassware and so forth, factoring in your centerpieces, your table numbers, table cards, favors. There's a lot of things that go into that. So you don't want to overseat and take up prime real estate for what you've paid so much money for those tables to look like. I love the mixed seating. I love the farm tables. I think it gives you more room. I think head tables are beautiful with farm tables. And again, if you are letting people sit with their significant other, it does give you the opportunity to have more people at that type of a table. You do want to make sure if you're at a farm table and you're seating on both sides, that you want to keep the side that you and the groom, or you and the bride, or groom, I'm trying to make sure I include everyone here. Keep what's across from you clear, because you are going to have people that are wanting to take pictures. You're going to have people that are coming up and talking to you, and you're going to want that shot straight across the table, clear to all of your guests. and your photographer and your videographer if you're having one. And then I would say that that's probably all I have to say on seating. I'm actually looking at all of my notes, but I think I addressed all of the questions, and if I didn't, please reach back out. Again, you don't have to do assigned seating. You can just do assigned tables, and you also can just do open seating if you decided that you didn't want to. In this situation, you have a lot of people, it sounds like, coming that don't know each other. And so I would say probably assigned tables would be best. Also think about your ceremony. When we are talking about seating, I'll throw a few more little notes in there about ceremony seating. Even if you are doing pick a side, not a seat, everyone's welcome, you want to make sure you're reserving those 2 front rows for your immediate family. And if you're not having ushers and you're just allowing people to seat themselves, I would suggest putting some type of reserve sign on those 2 front rows, or 1 front row, depending on the number of seating that you need up there. Most people know that mom and dad sit in the front row or grandparents sit in the front row, but sometimes kids run in, they think they're getting a front seat. You don't want to have to move people. So I typically designate either some type of fan or flower or even note card in those seats to reserve them. And then lastly, I would also say that if you do have anyone that has passed that's important to you and you want to just hold an empty seat for them, you could put a single stem flower in that. You could put a picture of them in that. I will say that's also very emotional. So if it's going to cause extra emotion for you to look at that seat that way, I probably would not suggest doing this. But just make sure that you are reserving those front rows for important people. One last thing. If it's important for your mom or your dad or your grandparents to actually see your face versus the back side of your head while you're doing your vows, switch it up. Have the groom's family or significant other's family switch sides with you, and make sure that everyone knows everyone's on the same page so you don't get a little confused, which we typically go over in rehearsal. But then they can actually see your face versus the back of your head saying your vows. So I hope that's been helpful. I don't have Erin today because she is having some communication difficulties in Nashville. I hope I answered everything. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I'll look afterwards, and if there are any, I will answer them in there. So thanks for bearing with me. I know my voice is a little scratchy this week. I hope you have a good week. If you have questions, reach out. It was great. Thanks, Jessie, for reaching out to us. We're happy to answer them, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay safe. Take care. Bye.